Hello everyone and welcome to the last session of the live revisionary class for the GST portion of paper 4 taxation for the intermediate course Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. Friends, discussed, and as a lot of you were requesting also, we'll straight away move to discussing the practical queries. And for discussing practical queries, the best place to do that is the RTP, which has been prescribed by the institute itself. So let us please start solving this RTP. Right from question number 1, we will be covering all the questions, and once we conclude this, then we will take up the amendments which have been listed as relevant for the ensuing attempt. So the first question, and I will try to answer this in the manner you should address this in your examination. So I'll try and put in some value addition points as and where I can find out. So let us begin reading the question. Mr. Mandeep, a registered dealer, is doing building material business in the state of Assam. He availed architect services for his business from his friend in London free of cost. He also availed designing services from his brother in London for rupees 5 lakhs for his personal purposes. So one thing is very clear from the first paragraph, that there will be something regarding import of service. And interestingly, reading terms like friend, personal purpose, business, so it's going to be an insightful question about the import of service. But first, let us read out the complete question. He availed services which are liable to tax under reverse charge, for which date of invoice was 1st of September. Payment date as per his books of account and as per his bank account was 15th of November and 18th of November respectively. So here it looks like in the second para, they are wanting to point towards time of supply in case of services covered under reverse charge. His turnover for the current financial year is as follows. So the taxable supply of goods is 55 lakhs and exempt supply of goods is 16 lakhs. Inward supply liable to tax under reverse charge is rupees 8 lakh. Next, he intends to start providing services also from the next financial year and also to avail composition scheme. He also wishes to make supplies to the government. Based on the information given above, choose the most appropriate answer for the following questions. So basically it's an MCQ. In respect of services imported by Mr. Mandeep, which of the following is a correct statement? First, architect services. So we have to choose correct statement, okay? Architect services for his business from his friend in London free of cost is considered as supply. So here they are talking about a supply which is free of cost, and if any supply which is free of cost is to be considered as supply, where should it be covered? It should be covered under Schedule 1 of CGST Act. And what does Schedule 1 of CGST Act prescribe? Schedule 1 of CGST Act prescribes that import of service from a related person in the course or furtherance of business, even if without consideration, will be considered as supply. So is this import of service in the course or furtherance of business? Yes. Is this import of service from a related person? So here they say that services have been imported from a friend. Can a friend be a related person? No. A friend cannot be termed as a related person, and hence this statement is incorrect. So see, it was a smart way to fool anyone, because when you say friend, so some of you, a few of you in the hurry may not think through and may hence commit the error of thinking that, okay, friend sounds like a related person, so the statement looks correct, because otherwise it's in the course of furtherance of business and there is no consideration. But that is why it is very careful to think through all the aspects, and that is why both is required. Your memory about the provisions plus your analytical skills. Both are very important for CA examination. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement is designing services from his brother in London for rupees 5 lakh for his personal purposes is considered as a supply. Now with respect to import of service, we had also discussed that there is an exception for supply, and that exception is that even if import of service is not in the course or furtherance of business, even then it will be termed as supply. But if there is a consideration, so import of service for a consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, to be treated as a supply. And hence, in this case, designing of services for rupees 5 lakh, this is a correct statement and this will be considered as a supply. Third statement, architect services for his business from his friend in London, free of cost, is not considered as a supply. And hence, this is a correct statement. Why? Because we have already discussed the other side of it in the first statement. Fourth statement says, designing services from his brother in London for rupees 5 lakh for his personal purposes is not considered as a supply. So this is again an incorrect statement. So the correct statements are second and third. So let us see which option mentions second and third. So it is the C option which should be the correct answer for this case. Next, the question is time of supply of services received by him and taxable under reverse charge. So basically, they are asking us to determine what will be the time of supply for services covered under reverse charge. So what details do we have about services covered under reverse charge? That the date of invoice was 1st of September, payment date in books of accounts was 15th of November, and bank account was 18th of November. Here, what do we know about import of service? In case of import of service, the provision says of course, we have to consider the date of payment date as per books of account and as per bank account, that is 15th November, 18th November. But the provision also says 61st day from the date of invoice. And what would be the 61st day from the date of invoice? So 1st of September plus 61. So basically 30 days in September, 31 days in October, and 1st of November will be the 61st day. And out of 1st of November, 15th November, 18th November, which is the earliest? 1st of November is the earliest, and hence the answer for this should be 1st of November. Okay? So again, if you could recall the pin correctly, this would have been a simple answer. Next, aggregate turnover of Mr. Mandeep for the given financial year. So let us see what all is to be added for determining the turnover. Will this reverse charge supply be considered for turnover? No. Will taxable supply of goods be considered? Yes. So that is 55 lakhs. Whether exempt supply will be considered? Yes. So 5516 is 71 lakhs. Whether inward supply liable to tax under reverse charge will be considered? No. Any other figure? No other figure. So what will be the aggregate turnover? 71 lakhs. That is C option. Next, Mr. Mandeep will be eligible for composition scheme in the next financial year. Okay, this they have already told. But he can supply services only up to, so what have we discussed in this regard? That any composition taxpayer can supply services up to rupees 5 lakhs or 10% of the aggregate turnover in the preceding financial year, whichever is higher. So, what will be the 10% of turnover? 10% of turnover will be 7 lakh and 10,000. So, the answer would be the D option, that is 7 lakhs and 10,000. Next, in case he supplies services to state government by way of any activity in relation to any function entrusted to a municipality under Article 243W of the Constitution in the next financial year, which of the following will be exempt? So this question is from the Exemptions chapter. We have read that pure services, when provided in respect of any function entrusted to a municipality which has been constitutionally entrusted, shall be exempt from GST. Not only this, but composite supply of goods and services wherein the value of goods is up to 25% of the said composite supply, that would also be covered under the exemption. So for this you need to retain the exemption portion. So here, first, pure services will be exempt. Second, composite supply of goods and services in which value of supply of goods constitutes not more than 25% of value of said composite supply, this would also be exempt. Composite supply of goods and services in which value of service constitutes not more than 25% of value of the said composite supply, This is basically just to confuse you. So there is no exemption for this third part, and hence first and second shall be exempt. So the correct option here is the D option, and that will be the answer. Next is interesting question. ABC Limited is a registered pharmaceutical company. The company invented one drug for instant cure of cancer. They supplied free samples of this medicine to various doctors. What will be the tax treatment of these free samples under GST? So, now the options are, and I want all of you to answer this. What should be the answer according to you? I am reading out the options. ABC Limited is liable to pay tax on supply of free samples and eligible to claim input tax credit. That is the A option. ABC Limited is not liable to pay tax on supply of free samples but eligible to claim input tax credit. C option says ABC Limited is neither liable to pay tax on supply of free samples nor eligible to claim input tax credit. And the D option says ABC Limited is liable to pay tax on supply of free samples but not eligible to claim input tax credit. Now, what will be the correct answer? I want all of you to give your views, your answer in the query section. Okay, so Pulgam has given A, some have given C, some have given D. No one is giving B? Great. So maximum of you are giving the correct answer, and the correct answer is option C. Why is option C the correct answer? Because as per section 17 subsection 5, no input tax credit shall be available or free samples. And if no, so first of all, no credit will be available. Second of all, free supply of samples on which no input tax credit is available, there will be no liability to pay any tax. Hence, the correct answer is C option. For those who have given the wrong answer, please go back and check why were you opting for the wrong answer, and please make the necessary corrections. Kala Niketan School, third question, is an educational institution providing preschool education and education up to higher secondary school. Which of the following services are exempt if provided to Kala Niketan School? So again, this question is relating to the exemptions chapter, and let me brief you that for education up to higher secondary, that is 12th standard, the government has given exemptions with an open heart. That is because there is a dearth, there is scarcity of educational institutions such as schools. We have a huge population, we want education for everyone. education is already becoming expensive, and that is why the government is extending exemption to a number of services which are provided by higher secondary school. So these are the aspects which can help you in retaining the exemptions chapter, because I understand that there are a lot of exemptions, lot of mugging up involved. So you will have to find out differentiating factors basis which you can use it for your advantage. So here, transportation of students, faculty and staff, this is covered under exemption. Catering services, so basically fooding, this is also covered under exemption. Cleaning services performed in such educational institution, this is also covered under exemption. So the correct option is the D option. Next is question number 4. Calculate the amount of eligible input tax credit. This again, I want all of you to give your answers. A minibus having seating capacity of 15 persons, including driver, used for running on hire, GST paid is 15 lakh. Car having seating capacity of 8 people used for business purpose, GST paid as 1 crore rupees. Wow, 1 crore rupees is GST, so must be a Rolls Royce. Then car having seating capacity of 4 persons used for imparting training on driving such car, and the GST paid is 50 lakh rupees. Special purpose vehicle having seating capacity of 2 persons used for transportation of goods, the GST paid is 60 lakh rupees. So what will be the amount of ITC available? My dear students, we had a detailed discussion on this. Please give your answers in the comment section. Again, great, maximum of you conducting business. Avishkar is a painter registered under GST in Delhi. He sends his artwork for exhibition in Mumbai. At what point of time supply is considered to have been made under GST? Okay. A, when painting is completed. B, when painting is sent for exhibition in Mumbai. C, when painting is displayed at the exhibition in Mumbai. D, when painting is purchased by one of the visitors in the exhibition. Wow, okay. तो ये तो जनरल नॉलेज का क्वेश्चन आ गया. ये तो कोई प्रोविजन की बात ही नहीं है यहां पर. दिस इज अ जनरल नॉलेज क्वेश्चन. नाउ आई वांट ऑल ऑफ यू टू आंसर, एंड नाउ आई वांट टू सी व्हाट विल बी योर आंसर, बिकॉज इसमें तो जीएसटी प्रोविजन की जरूरत ही नहीं है. ये तो जनरल नॉलेज का क्वेश्चन आ गया, फ्री का नंबर वाला क्वेश्चन आ गया. व्हाट विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर? प्लीज गिव इन द कॉमेंट बॉक्स योर आंसर. व्हाट विल बी द करेक्ट आंसर? I want many of you to answer, as many of you as you can. Let me see. Let me quickly check. इसमें भी there are people giving wrong answers. Thankfully, maximum of you have answered correctly, and the correct answer, my dear friend, is the D option, because when painting is completed, there is no supply whatsoever, because it is just a stock, finished goods. When painting is sent for exhibition in Mumbai, there is no clarity whether it will be sold. It can come back also. And I am not selling it to my registration. I am simply sending it for exhibition. When painting is displayed at the exhibition, it is like I am making something and putting in my showroom. So does displaying in showroom count as sale, supply? No. And D, when painting is purchased by one of the visitors, of course, you go to a showroom and you do window shopping. By window shopping, have you made the purchases? No, my dear friend, until you go inside, you select the product, you pay for it, have you made the purchase? No. So if you've given answers like 5BC, so this means that all of us have Rolls Royce, all of us can have Mercedes because supply हो गया. हमने देख लिया Mercedes को और हम supply पूरा हो गया. Mercedes शोरूम में आके खड़ी हो गई और वो ट्रांजैक्शन पूरे हो गए, टैक्स दे देना चाहिए उनको. So please think through. I mean, you should be all, I expected 100% correct answers. Question 6, moving ahead. Which of the following is not covered under Schedule 3 of CGST Act? What is Schedule 3 of CGST Act? The negative list of GST. Director's monthly salary under employment agreement. So recently there has been an advance ruling, and I believe had that come, because this must have been printed earlier. So basically they are asking director's monthly salary under employment agreement. B, sitting fees to independent directors for attending AGMs. C, payment to employee for providing broking services to the employer for purchase of commercial property. Such services do not form part of the employment contract entered into by the employer with the employee. D, both B and C. Now come on again. I want you to answer. And don't be afraid. See, presently you are still studying, still analyzing. Most of you may be undertaking questions the first time. So don't be afraid. Think through and give the answer that you feel is correct. Why am I asking you to answer? Because when you type the answer, at least you will think through the question. Otherwise, this was simply a video playing for you and you will not even apply your mind. So think through, give your answers, correct, incorrect, leave that to me. If you're correct, you will feel happy about it. If you're incorrect, you will be corrected for the future. So what will be the correct answer for this 6th? Everyone, come on, give your answers. Everyone has to answer. I will not move ahead. I am getting 400, 500 queries and only 10, 20 answers. That will not work. I want everyone to answer. What should be the correct answer for this sixth? Question is, which of the following is not covered under Schedule 3? Come on, more answers, please. Okay. So let us now analyze line item wise. First option is director's monthly salary under employment agreement. What does this mean? That a director is working as an employee of the company. And once he steps into the shoes of an employee, so any services provided by an employee in the course of his employment have been covered under Schedule 3. So, A point where director is getting monthly salary under employment, so he is working in the nature of an employee, and hence, my dear friend, this stands covered under Schedule 3. B point, setting fees to independent directors for attending AGMs. This we had discussed, there is a specific entry under reverse charge. Any services provided by directors to the company is liable to pay tax under reverse charge. So this is rather liable to tax and hence not covered under Schedule 3. So B is not covered. Then C option says payment to employee for providing broking services. But such services do not form part of the employment contract. That is, the employee has stepped out of the employment contract and provided some services which are broking services. So, will this be covered under Schedule 3? No. Only services in the course of employment. In the course of employment are covered, and hence this will also not be covered. So the correct answer will be the D option, that is both B and C. Seventh question, which of the following service is not exempt under GST? Is not exempt under GST. So here the question is talking about loading and unloading, and we will just do the revision, the amendments which are relevant. And there you will study that relating to basic agricultural produce. See, the problem with our country is the farmers of our country work very hard and they produce a lot of agricultural produce. But do you know that a substantial portion of that produce gets wasted? Why? Due to two reasons. One, because we do not have good amount of storage facilities in our country. So food items need special environment for their storage, like cold storage, like medicines, so that there is no insects are caught in that and it remains fresh and usable. But because we do not have good storage facility, it gets wasted. Second, there is no good transportation available. So farmers produces in the farm, but it has to travel over the country to get sold. It has to travel to the city, to the towns, to the areas, remote areas. And again, the transportation is not available as required. And hence, due to these two factors, a lot of agricultural produce gets wasted. Government wants to intensively work on it so as to save as much as they can. And that is why they are giving incentives for agricultural produce, for its storage, for its transportation. In this background, now let us analyze it. Loading and unloading of paddy. What is paddy? Paddy is the raw form of rice. So paddy is processed and rice is obtained. So paddy is the immediate agriculture, the bare form of rice that is produced in the rice fields. So what I told you, will it be exempt or not? Yes, because it is loading and unloading of immediate agricultural produce. Loading and unloading of sugarcane. Where does sugarcane grow? In the farms, fields, immediate agricultural produce, exempt. Loading, unloading of tea bags. Tea grows in farms. But where are tea bags formed? Tea bags are processed form of tea which are used, which cannot be said to be agricultural produce. Rather, it's a kind of a luxury item, or luxury item in the sense it's a ready saleable produce in the market, and hence this is not in for bare form of agricultural produce. Hence, this will not be exempt. Loading and unloading of potato again will be exempt. So the answer to question number 7 is option C. Question number 8. So someone was asking how to approach a theoretical question. Here is a theoretical question. Mr. Vicky Franklin, an unregistered famous author, received rupees 3 crore of consideration from Shiv Bhavan Publications located in Indore for supply of services by way of temporary transfer of a copyright covered under Section 13, subsection 1, Clause A of the Copyright Act, 1957, relating to original literary works of his new book. He finished his work and made available the book to the publisher, but has yet not raised the invoice. Mr. Vicky Franklin is of the view that SBP is liable to pay tax under reverse charge on services provided by him. SBP does not concur with his view and is not ready to deposit the tax under any circumstances. Examine whether the view of Mr. Vicky Franklin is correct. Further, if the view of Mr. Vicky Franklin is correct, what is the recourse available with Mr. Vicky Franklin to comply with the requirements of GST law, as Shiv Bhavan Publications has completely refused to deposit the tax? So this, my dear friends, we have discussed an amendment in our discussion, wherein in case of reverse charge we had discussed that earlier the services extended by an author by allowing the use of its copyright, the liability to pay tax is on the publisher, but now an option has been given that wherein the author needs to obtain registration, file a declaration in the specified format, and needs to raise an invoice along with GST with a declaration to the publisher. So the complete question is, answer should be that view of Vicky Franklin is correct, that see, SBP is liable to pay tax under reverse charge, but because SBP is not agreeing, that then an option is available with Mr. Vicky Franklin, wherein he needs to obtain registration under GST, file a declaration, and raise an invoice along with applicable GST, plus on the invoice it should be declared, the declaration as required should also be made. So basically, Again, I'm telling you the same thing, that you need to give the answer with your reasoning, that what you are saying, how you are saying, what is the rationale behind it, and also detail the entire procedure. Okay, that you have to study. Once you study this, you will get that what is the what is the registration, what is the declaration, and what is to be mentioned on the invoice. So all these details. So this answer should be a good 2-3 paras. Will take it up. So don't take it in the form of paras, but actually give the entire reasoning. Okay, question number 9. Chanchal started providing beauty and grooming services and inaugurated Care and Care Beauty Center in Janakpuri, Delhi on 1st April. She opted to pay tax under notification number 2/2019. Have we discussed this notification? Yes, of course. What does this notification provide? This notification provides that up to 50 lakh rupees of turnover, a service provider has an option to pay tax at the rate of 6%. So, here Miss Chanchal has started providing. So, she has started a new business. Okay, and she wants to opt the option available under notification number 2/2019. The aggregate turnover of Care and Care Beauty Center for the quarter ending 30th June was rupees 20 lakh. Okay. Further, for the half year ending 30th September, the turnover reached 50 lakh. Okay. Care and Care Beauty Center recorded a rapid growth and the turnover reached 70 lakh by the end of October. Determine the total tax liability of Care and Care by the end of October. So, and in the notes you can see the rate of GST applicable on such services is 18%. Now let us analyze one by one. Can Chanchal avail the option available under notification 2/2019? Yes, Chanchal can avail because this is the first year. This is the first year, even though the turnover has crossed 50 lakh, but because this is the first year, up to 50 lakh, the option available under notification number 2/2019 will be available. But will Chanchal avail the notification under 2/2019 or day 1, or should it first wait to cross the threshold of registration? You start a new business. You know that you start a service providing business. You know that because you are based in Delhi, the threshold for obtaining registration is 20 lakh. So the day you begin your business, right away will you apply for composition scheme or will you wait at least till the time you cross the registration threshold? Well, a prudent person will first wait till the time he reaches the registration threshold, because prior to that he will do nothing. So likewise in this case, until June, when the turnover is reached 20 lakh, Chanchal would not want to obtain registration because his turnover is below registration threshold. In June, when 20 lakh is about to be crossed, Chanchal would opt for registration, but registered under composition scheme. That is, registration would be obtained, but she will choose the option to pay tax under notification number 2/2019. And what does this notification provide? This notification provides that up to 50 lakh of turnover, you can pay tax at the rate of 6%. So what is the net turnover on which Chanchal is required to pay tax? Beyond 20 lakh, because 20 lakh, up to 20 lakh, there was no registration, no liability. So 50 lakh minus 20 lakh is 30 lakh rupees. On 30 lakh rupees, she should pay tax at the rate of 6%. That is 1,80,000. Once she crosses the 50 lakh limit, then the option under notification number 2 shall not be available. And thereafter, she will have to pay tax at the rate of full rate, that is 18%. And 70 lakh minus 50 lakh is 20 lakh. On 20 lakh, tax at the rate of 18% shall be applicable. Okay. So, on 20 lakh, 18% is 3 lakhs and how much it is? So, it is 3 lakhs and so on 20 lakhs, 18%, 20% on 70 minus 50 lakh on 20 lakhs at the rate of 18%, the tax will be 3 lakh and 60,000. So 3 lakh and 60,000 plus 6% on 30 lakhs, that would be 1,80,000. So this is the total amount which needs to be paid. That would be 5 lakh and 40,000. In question B, so 9B, they ask, Care and Care Beauty Center wishes to opt for composition scheme from the next financial year. You are required to advise it whether it can do so. So, of course, since Chanchal is engaged in provision of services, turnover has reached 70 lakhs, so no option available. Next is question number 10. This is again from a recent amendment, and this amendment we will cover right after we complete this RTP. But let me explain it to you. The question here is basically, see, GST has a very wide gamut. And very wide gamut meaning that GST is being made liable to pay on as many activities as there are possible. Now, a question was raised that when you visit your temple, church, mosque, Gurudwara, you see that someone has gifted the water cooler, someone has contributed for construction, someone has contributed the fan, and generally on that it is mentioned that this is contributed by this and this gentleman in the memory of this and this person. Now the question which came for clarification was that generally against such donation some amount is paid. Okay, so I am donating to a temple and I say I am donating 10 lakh rupees, and you construct a temple and you put a nameplate that I am doing it because on the happy occasion of the birth of my offspring or whatever reason. So a question arose whether GST will be applicable on this donation. Why? The question was, when this nameplate is being affixed, does this tantamount that they are giving you advertisement? Because when people will visit the temple, they will see the nameplate and it will be a kind of, you are getting visibility. Okay, this person did this. So it was clarified that see, if this donation is to a charitable institution and simply pro bono, that is ex gratia, there is no intention for any advertisement, no mention of business, the donation has been done in personal capacity, then there will be no applicability of GST and this will be treated as a simple donation to a charitable institution and hence exempt, not liable to GST. So now let us read the question. The temple of ancestral deity of Mr. Aman Goyal and his family is located in Haryana. The temple is run by a charitable organization registered under Section 12AA of the Income Tax Act. Family has unshakable faith in their ancestral deity. Mr. Aman is a big entrepreneur, having flourishing business of tiles in Gurugram. Upon the birth of their first child, he donated rupees 10 lakh to the said temple for construction of a sitting hall in the temple. On the main door of the sitting hall, a nameplate was placed stating donated by Mr. Aman Goyal upon birth of his first child. So according to you, should there be any applicability on this 10 lakh rupees? Is there any marketing involved? Is there any taxable supply involved? No. And that is what has been clarified. So no liability of GST. Next, question 11. Holiday guest house. So here, again they are asking from exemptions. If any room is let out, the value of which is up to 1000 rupees per day, then that is exempt from GST and no GST is liable to be paid. So in this background, let us study this question. Holiday guest house situated at Shimla provides boarding and lodging services to tourists at economical cost. The charges of a single deluxe room per day are rupees 999. Mr. X has booked one deluxe room for 2 days during Christmas holidays. You are required to determine whether a GST is payable by holiday guest house on the above booking. So like I just told you that if the charges are up to rupees 1000, no GST is payable and this will be exempt from GST. Next it says, will your answer change if the charges of a single deluxe room per day charged by holiday guest house are rupees 1000? So if the charges are rupees 1000, the answer will remain the same. Why? Because I just told you that up to rupees 1000. Okay. So if it exceeded 1000, then the answer would have changed. But up to 1000, the answer remains the same. In the B part, they are asking, Damodar Limited provides services by way of storage of seasonal fruits and vegetables in Bhatinda, Punjab. The monthly rental for a godown is 50,000. Examine whether GST is payable. Now, what did I tell you with respect to storage of agricultural produce? Government wants to promote it, and how do they promote? By exempting it from tax. So this is exempt from GST and no GST shall be payable. Friends, here we'll take a quick break of 10 minutes and then we will reconvene our session. Welcome back to the session, friends. So, question number 12. Messrs. C.R. Ram is a trader of decorative items in Hoskas, Delhi. His aggregate turnover exceeded rupees 20 lakh in the month of October. He applied for registration on GST portal but missed to submit the details of his bank account. His tax consultant advised him that prior submission of bank details is mandatory to obtain registration. Examine whether the advice of Mr. Siaram's tax consultant is correct. So here, friends, we have recently studied in the morning session only that a relaxation has been given, that within 45 days of registration, even after registration, the bank details can be submitted within 45 days or the date of filing of first return, whichever is earlier. So that we need to mention that Siaram's tax consultant's advice is not correct, and now this relaxation is available. Question number 13. Mr. Gauri Shiva, a registered person in Punjab, supplies goods taxable at the rate of 12%, that is 6% SGST, 6% CGST or 12% IGST in the states of Punjab and Haryana. He has furnished the following details in relation to independent supplies made by him in the quarter ending June. So these are the supplies, 10 supplies. The aggregate annual turnover of Mr. Gauri Shiva in the preceding financial year was rupees 1.2 crores. With reference to Rule 59 of the CGST rules, discuss the manner in which the details of above supplies are required to be furnished in GSTR 1. So what did we study in the morning? If the supply is from one registered person to another registered person, be it interstate, be it intrastate, whatever be the value, it has to be reported invoice-wise. Any supply to unregistered person within the state, consolidated reporting, no invoice-wise reporting. Interstate supply up to 2,50,000, consolidated reporting. Interstate supply more than 2,50,000 in a particular invoice, again invoice-wise reporting. So let us see. First supply is to Mr. A registered person. And if a supply is to a registered person, then we need not see any other thing. It will be a invoice-wise detail. Mr. B, a registered person, again invoice-wise detail. Mr. C, an unregistered person but within the state, consolidated detail. Mr. D, an unregistered person within the state, intrastate, consolidated details. Fifth, Mr. M, an unregistered person, interstate, 3 lakh rupees, that is more than 2,50,000, invoice-wise details. Mr. N, an unregistered person, interstate, up value is 50,000 rupees, consolidated detail. Mr. O, an unregistered person, interstate, 2,50,000, so up to 2,50,000, you can report consolidated detail. Mr. P, an unregistered person, interstate supply, value is 2,80,000, invoice-wise detail. Mr. Q, a registered person, invoice-wise detail. Mr. R, a registered person, invoice-wise detail. So, this is what you need to mention for this question. Next is question number 14. Discuss the correctness of the following statements. First, once generated, an e-way bill cannot be cancelled. Is this statement correct? In the morning only, we have discussed about e-way bill cancellation, and an e-way bill can be cancelled up till when? Within 24 hours of its generation. But there is one restriction. If an e-way bill has been verified in transit, that is, it has been verified that okay, this e-way bill is actually being used for movement, then it cannot be cancelled. So say suppose I generate the e-way bill now at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock it is verified in transit, then the 24-hour clause will not be applicable, and the 24-hour clause is applicable provided the e-way bill has not been verified in transit. Second part is, e-way bill generated in one state is valid in another state. So when we were discussing e-way bill provisions, we discussed that e-way bill is required for movement of goods, be it Delhi to Delhi, be it Delhi to Kolkata, be it Delhi to Mumbai. Did we discuss anything that separate e-way bills are required for separate states? No, na. And hence, of course, e-way bill has national validity throughout the route of transportation, and hence e-way bill generated in one state is valid in another state. Last question number 15. Mr. Ram Narayan, a registered supplier under GST, wants to first discharge his self-assessed tax liability for the current period before settling the dues for the previous tax period. Examine whether he can do so. So this also we had discussed in the morning. I had given you my example. I want to file the return, pay the tax for the month of April, but I have not filed the return, paid the tax for January, February, March. Directly I want to pay for April. Can I do so? No, I cannot. Why? Because there was an order. Order was first pay your self-assessed tax liability for the prior period, then pay self-assessed tax liability for the present period, and last you pay your tax liability determined under section 73-74 of the demand and recovery provision. So this Ram Narayan cannot discharge his self-assessed tax liability for the current period. First he has to pay the tax liability for the previous tax period. Okay. So with this, friends, we have covered the RTP portion, and now we'll move on to the next portion of our discussion, that is the recent amendments. You'll be happy to know that a lot of amendments have already been covered in the gradual course of our discussion, so they were a part of the PPT. Whatever has not been discussed, we will be discussing it now. I hope this amendment is visible to all of you. Can you please confirm? Is it visible to all of you? I'll have to. Let me just check. Is it visible to all of you? Was it visible earlier? I believe it would be visible. I'll just redo it, the entire thing. Okay, clear. Great. So, let us, now we are discussing the statutory update or the recent amendments relevant for May 2020. Of course, the exams have now been postponed, so don't worry about that. Okay. So, supply under GST with respect, and these amendments have been listed chapter wise. Here, we will also discuss all the recent amendments, 100% coverage, and some practical questions also we will do here also. Okay. And so let us start. First amendment in the supply chapter is service by way of grant of alcoholic liquor license is neither a supply of goods nor a supply of service. So, as you all know, that alcoholic liquor has been kept out of the purview of GST. GST is not applicable. Now, this alcoholic liquor is very strictly regulated by state governments. And these days, it's all around the news, right? In the lockdown, now the liquor shops have been opened and you can see long lines. Okay, so there was some small technical issue. So basically, the question was that every state government gives a license, charges some fee against that license, and only then a person can deal in alcoholic liquor. Nobody can generally deal in alcoholic liquor because liquor is very strictly regulated in India. So the question was that the fee which is collected by giving this alcoholic liquor license, is GST applicable on that? And it has been clarified that GST will not be applicable on giving license for alcoholic liquor, and this will not be liable to GST. Okay. Plus, it has also been clarified that this exclusion is only for alcoholic liquor license. A lot of other licenses are given, like mining license, privilege license, exploitation of natural resources license, and for that also fee is charged. But there, GST will be applicable as it is. It is only for alcohol service by way of grant of alcoholic liquor license against consideration in the form of license fee or application fee, which shall be outside the purview of GST. Second, levy of GST on the service of display of name or placing of nameplates of the donor in the premises of charitable organizations receiving donation or gifts from individuals. This we had just discussed. Okay, Mr. Goyal in Haryana, 10 lakh rupees, construction of a sitting hall. So this is the same thing which has been clarified that no GST applicable. Okay. Next is charge of GST. So here I told you that a recent change has been made wherein a manufacturer of aerated water cannot opt for composition scheme. So who cannot opt for composition scheme? Manufacturer of items which are not good for your mouth. What are those? Ice cream, pan masala, tobacco, and मेरे यहां तो ठीक चल रहा है, आपको दिख रहा है? कंटिन्यू करूं? So, the next amendment is with respect to that payment of tax under reverse charge has been made optional in case of supply of services by an author by way of transfer permitting the use or enjoyment of a copyright relating to original literary work to a publisher. So this also we have discussed in detail in the course also, and also while attempting the question in the RTP. So you can just go back and quickly go through it. Okay. New services under reverse charge mechanism. This also we had discussed. Service provided by way of renting of a motor vehicle. Services of lending of securities under securities lending scheme. So this was also what we had discussed in our relevant chapter. Exemptions from GST. Okay. So here we will dedicate some time and I'll try and explain everything to you simplistically here. Recent changes in exemptions. Friends, there have been some changes in the already existing exemptions. For example, like in case of reverse charge, we all know that once a person becomes liable to pay tax under reverse charge, he has to mandatorily obtain registration. But this provision, of course, sounds a bit harsh. That otherwise my turnover may be so low, but still you are asking me to obtain registration. What is the meaning of threshold, this and that? So a relaxation was given by the government that in case of this unspecified service, up to 20 lakh rupees limit or 10 lakh rupees. So basically earlier the threshold limit for goods as well as service was 20 lakh rupees for normal states, 10 lakh rupees for special category states. Now, of course, for goods, it has been raised up to 40 lakhs. So, now, a corresponding amendment has been made in this exemption. That is, so this is the provision which is applicable now, the middle one, the third one from left. Services provided by central government, state government, union territory or local authority to a business entity with an aggregate turnover of up to such amount in the preceding financial year as makes it eligible for exemption from registration under the CGST Act. So by putting these words, what they have done is that for special category states, it will be the reduced limit. For service provider, it will be 20 lakh. For supplier of goods, it will be 40 lakhs. And same kind of exemptions, changes have been made with respect to services provided by an arbitral tribunal. Here also, same wordings have been introduced. For legal services provided by advocate, a partnership firm of advocates, there also the same amendment has been made. Senior advocate, same amendment has been made. So basically, nothing much, but with respect to legal services, arbitral tribunal and services provided by government, up to the point where they are exempted from obtaining registration, till that point, these services shall remain exempt from tax. Next is a new entry. So, the background of this entry is that FIFA, that is the international body governing football, FIFA Under 17 Women's World Cup 2020 was to be hosted in India. Now, thanks to this corona, it's not going to happen, I believe. Exemption was granted to services provided by FIFA as well as to FIFA. So FIFA would be providing services by allowing the usage of brand names, sponsorship and everything. And by FIFA, wherein they are allowing, so to FIFA, when FIFA is acting as the sponsor, they are allowing you to, so you are providing services to FIFA and vice versa, FIFA is providing services. So input and output both was exempted, and that is why a new entry was made. Next is services by a hotel, inn, guest house, club or campsite by whatever name called for residential or lodging purposes having value of supply of a unit of accommodation. Earlier it was below 1000, now it has been revised to equal to 1000. So for this we had already done a practical question. These two services, that is transportation of goods by an aircraft from customs station of clearance in India to a place outside India, and transportation of goods by a vessel from customs station of clearance to a place outside India, they were earlier exempted to 30th of September 19. They have now been exempted till 30th of September 2020. So basically the time limit has been extended by 1 year. Next amendment is that government wants to promote electric vehicles, usage of electric vehicles. And with a view to encourage usage of environment-friendly electrical vehicles, GST exemption has been extended to hiring of electrical buses by the local authorities. So local authorities have this responsibility of ensuring proper public transportation. So if they were to buy any electric buses, that would be exempted from GST. Next, I told you that the government wants to promote storage and warehousing facilities for the agricultural produce. In this regard, services by way of storage, warehousing of cereals, pulses, fruits, nuts, vegetables, spice, sugarcane, jaggery, etc. So basically storage and warehousing, a blanket exemption has been given for all of these agricultural produce. Next, the Central Armed Police Forces have a group insurance fund specific to their members, and the services of life insurance extended by this fund have been exempted from GST. Next, Bangla Shastra Bima is a scheme of general insurance, and this has been exempted from GST. Next, relating to FIFA Under 17 Women's World Cup, services by way of right to admission to the event. So basically these matches that would have been held, they would have been held in stadiums, and to stadiums there would have been an entry ticket. So that entry ticket has been exempted from GST. Now, next, a clarification has been issued regarding applicability of GST on delayed payment charges in case of late payment of equated monthly installments. What does it provide? So it gives two sets of examples. One set of example is, suppose I am a seller of mobile phone, and suppose you come to me to buy a mobile phone. I say that this mobile phone is for 40,000 rupees. And you say that I cannot pay you 40,000 rupees immediately. Then I give you another option. Okay, do one thing. You pay me in installments. So every discussion till now, everything is happening between me, the seller, and you, the buyer. So I'm saying, okay, fine, you cannot pay 40,000 instantly. Do one thing. You pay me in installments, but because you will be paying to me in installments, I will be charging 11,000 per month as the installment, and you have to clear the entire payment in 4 months. So basically 4 months, 11,000 per month. So effectively you will be paying me 44,000. Now my basic question is, what will be the value under GST? 40,000 or 44,000? What is the transaction value? The device X2. Next is, so we were discussing the second option. So kindly bear, there is some network related issue, and there is huge burden, as all of you know, there is huge burden on technology also. So today only we are experiencing it. So the next option that I was telling you, that you come to buy this mobile from me and you cannot pay 40,000 rupees instantly. You ask for an EMI option. I refuse that. I cannot give you in installments. But then there is a HDFC person who is standing there. He immediately steps into our conversation and he tells you, don't worry, I will give you an option and finance it. So what the HDFC person does is, he says he will pay 40,000 rupees to me and you need to pay the 40,000 rupees to HDFC in installments along with the applicable interest. Now, there are two transactions happening. I am selling the mobile to you, but receiving the money from HDFC. How much money am I actually receiving? Only 40,000. So the value in that case will be 40,000. The transaction between you and HDFC, is in the nature of extending loans, and since it is in the nature of extending loans, the amount that you will pay over and above 40,000 will be in the nature of interest, and that interest is exempt from GST. Okay? So that is the distinction between these two transactions, and that is what has been clarified. Now in this background, if you will just go back and study this once along with these illustrations, it will become entirely clear to you. Next is another clarification. This is with respect to Residential Welfare Association. So like I had told you, GST is applicable even on supplies made by unincorporated association to its members. And because it is so applicable, hence all the residential welfare associations are now covered under the gamut of GST. However, a basic exemption limit has been given to RWAs, that is, if the contribution per member for a member is below 7,500, then, or up to 7,500, then that will be exempt and no GST will be applicable. However, if the contribution is above 7,500, then GST shall be applicable. Now, certain questions were raised. The questions were, are the maintenance charges paid by residents to the RWA exempt from GST? And if yes, is there an upper limit? So it was clarified, yes, there is an exemption. And the exemption is per member up to a contribution of 7,500 per month. Per month. Next question was, a RWA has aggregate turnover of rupees 20 lakh. 20 lakh meaning it is below the threshold limit of registration. But some of its members are making contribution 10,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. But the overall receipts are Okay, friends. So we are facing some technical troubles today. So please bear with us a bit. So the next point in this line, the next point which was sought for clarification was, if the RWA is liable to pay tax on the contribution above 7,500, then can it avail ITC also? So it was clarified, of course, since you are dealing in taxable supplies, you can also avail input tax credit. Another last question was, where a person owns 2 or more flats, whether the ceiling of rupees 7,500 per month per member be available per residential apartment or per person. So here it was clarified that it will be available per residential apartment, and if a member has more than 1 flats, then it will be available separately for every apartment. So in this example, if the person has 2 flats, then the exemption will be up to 15,000. Okay. Next, a clarification was sought. So basically, government approved courses, educational courses. So education, there is an exemption up to higher secondary, then for a degree recognized by law. In this regard, a clarification was sought whether DG Shipping approved maritime courses conducted by Maritime Training Institutes of India, whether this course will be exempted from GST or not. So it was clarified that this will be exempted from GST. And another clarification which was issued was, suppose government issues a exemption notification and within 1 year from the date of issuance of notification, they issue a clarification in that notification or an explanation in that notification. Not clarification, but an explanation in that notification. So it was clarified that if the explanation is issued within 1 year of the issuance of that notification, the explanation will have retrospective effect since the date of issuance of that notification. For Chapter 6, there is a 20% restriction. So basically, the total credit which can be availed should not be more than 120% of the credit appearing in your GSTR 2A. This we had already discussed. Now let us do an illustration. Let us try and understand with the help of an illustration. Illustration says, Mr. Vijay, a registered supplier, receives 100 invoices for inward supply of goods, services involving GST of rupees 10 lakh from various suppliers during the month of October. So, the supplies have been received involving GST of rupees 10 lakh. Compute the input tax credit that can be claimed by Mr. Vijay in his GSTR 3B for the month of October to be filed by 20th of November in the following independent cases, assuming that GST of rupees 10 lakh is otherwise eligible for ITC. Okay. Case 1 says, out of 100 invoices, 80 invoices. So first let me tell you, this number of invoices is only to confuse you. There is no linkage of what number of invoices were received and what number of invoices have been uploaded. Simply, the provision simply says, whatever amount of ITC is appearing in your GSTR 2A, the maximum amount of ITC that you can avail is 120% of that, of the amount appearing in GSTR 2A, subject to the condition that 120% should not exceed your eligible ITC for that month. What does this mean? Please be with me. So case 1, it says GST of rupees 6 lakh has been uploaded by the suppliers. What will be 120% of 6 lakhs? 7 lakh and 20,000. Between 7 lakh and 20,000 and total eligible ITC of 10 lakhs, which is the lower amount? Lower amount is 7 lakh and 20,000. So for case 1, the amount of eligible ITC will be 7 lakh and 20,000. Next, case 2, out of 100 invoices, 75 invoices, no relevance, GST of rupees 8.5 lakh has been uploaded by the suppliers. So what will be 120% of 8.5 lakh? 120% of 8.5 lakh will go beyond 10 lakhs. And hence, the maximum amount of eligible ITC will be restricted to the actual amount of ITC, that is 10 lakhs. That is, in no case it will go beyond 10 lakhs. And hence, for case 2, the answer is 10 lakh rupees. With respect to registration, bank details can now be submitted post-registration. This we have discussed. Okay. Second is an important thing to understand. So we had discussed something as suspension of registration. What is suspension of registration? The period between applying for cancellation and approval of cancellation, right? Now, during this suspension, in the law it was written that the person who has applied for cancellation and in the duration of suspension, he will not make any taxable supply. So basically, what they were trying to say is that if a person has applied for cancellation of registration, he cannot undertake any taxable supply. Now there could be a case, someone took registration, but his turnover is going to be below the registration threshold, and that is why he is surrendering the registration, but otherwise he is continuing to do business. Now the point for clarification was that if a person goes into suspension, can he not do business at all? So it was clarified, no, that is not the intention. The only intention is you can very well continue to do business, but if you have applied for cancellation of registration, please do not issue any taxable invoice, do not avail any input tax credit, but otherwise you can continue to do your business. Another point which was clarified was, suppose the officer finds out that the person has wrongly claimed cancellation of registration and that he is liable to be registered under GST, he should continue his registration under GST, and therefore he does not allow cancellation of registration. In such case, for the period between applying for cancellation and rejection by the proper officer, there will be a requirement that the person will have to file first return. So what is first return? As is applicable in case of a new registration. So he will have to file details of all the details of for this duration. Also, he will have to issue revised tax invoices, because in suspension he would have not issued any tax invoices. So he will then have an option to issue revised tax invoices. Okay? With respect to tax invoice, credit and debit notes, a special provision with respect to cinematographic films and multiplex screens, this we have already discussed, that for supplies below value 200, there is an option that you can issue a consolidated invoice, but that option has been taken away from multiplex screens. Moreover, they have been required to issue e-tickets, which will be considered as invoices, and for single screen cinemas, the old format, they have an option to choose to do so. So this is mandatory for multiplex screens, but optional for single screens. Validity of e-way bill. This we have already discussed in our discussion for e-way bill. Returns. So one important amendment in returns is, like I told you, that when GST was introduced, the government had a scheme that first GSTR 1 will be filed, basis that GSTR 2A will be there, from 2A 2 will be filed, from 2 1A will be populated, and then GSTR 3 will be filed. In law, in GST law, GST 3 was considered a return. GSTR 3B was nowhere mentioned or considered as a return. Owing to this lacuna in the law, a case was filed in Gujarat High Court in the case of Aap and Company. And the case said that because GSTR 3 is the proper return, and since no GSTR 3 has been filed, the time limit, you remember, for every year, the last date to make any amendment is to the due date of filing. Hence, for the financial year 17, 18, 18, 19, that last date limit will not be applicable. And the court agreed that yes, what you are saying is correct. So to do away with such judgment, a retrospective amendment was made in the law, and GSTR 3B was recognized as a return. Next, filing of annual return, a relaxation has been given for taxpayers with turnover less than 2 crores. So that we have already discussed. And with this, friends, we have covered 100% of amendments along with our RTP. Now, I'll take up your queries which are there. So, Moli Tiwari is asking, sir, please upload these amendments. My dear Moli, I myself have gone to Board of Studies portal. To add Board of Studies portal, you need to go to the intermediate section. When you click on the intermediate section, you will find study material relevant for May 2020, November 2020, amendments relevant for May 2020, revision test paper relevant for May 2020, mock test paper relevant for May 2020. Please go there and freely download this. Okay? Welcome, Udita. Brinda, I'm sorry I cannot share my personal email ID. So Paras is asking, in case of advocate, if he has obtained GSTIN, as he was having some other income source also, then is he liable to issue invoice under RCM or under forward charge? So, if an advocate has a GSTIN number, still the services provided in the capacity of an advocate will be covered under a reverse charge, and the recipient will be liable to pay. Madhur is asking, please explain difference between nil rated, exempt and non-taxable. Nil rated supply, there is a specific notification. Only 3 supplies are covered under nil rated. Exempt supply is any supply which has been exempted through notification and includes non-taxable supply. Okay, so non-taxable supply will be alcoholic liquor, petroleum products. Okay, welcome Tejas. Nutan, RWA means Residential Welfare Association. Any of your friends living in a flat, in an apartment, just call them and discuss what does your RWA do. They will tell you everything. And in Dehradun, there are good number of flats working. Welcome Shivani. Welcome Kanishk. Welcome Girish. Sushmita is asking, sir, last day you discussed about ITC utilization by registered person. We are about to do a question regarding same from RTP. I couldn't find any regarding. Please discuss from that topic. So Sushmita, just go to your study material. Good self-explanatory questions have been given on that. Just take care of the procedure that has to be followed for usage. And in the morning, someone had told me to refer, he had given me the wrong page number, but he was talking about illustration 3. I had gone back and checked and found out that there was no anomaly. The question was exactly on the lines on which we have been doing our discussion. Welcome Shanmugapriya. Pradeep is asking, sir, supply made by registered person to other registered person. No. Are Pradeep, supply made by registered person to other registered person, then of course the supplier is liable to charge the GST and pay it. Yes, Vrinda, study material and everything is fine, is sufficient, and you're welcome. Welcome Shivam. Welcome Rahul. Okay. Okay, so Niharika is asking, should answers be in para or points? So see, your answers should be clear, readable, and you can do it the way best you want, but basically do it in a way that it is easily, clearly, it communicates your thoughts clearly, okay? So Manan is asking, exams are postponed, amendments till 28th January are applicable. So Manan, don't speculate. First of all, yesterday only Vice Chairman Sir has said that your question papers have already been made and they are kept somewhere in locker. So, and I believe if you want absolute clarity on that, then please write to Board of Studies, okay? And I believe due to deferment, there should be no change, but that is my personal view. Please get it confirmed from your Board of Studies, okay? Niharika, presentation of theory questions. See, what you can do is generally in suggested answers, so look at suggested answers for the past period. They are generally in para format, so you can give in para format, okay? So Tarun, assignment of e-way bill is possible by changing the vehicle number, okay? Welcome Priyanka. Okay, so Adesh is saying that in the morning also due to technical difficulty, the session ended abruptly. So I was almost about to end the session. So only thing that I was saying was that, okay, what you can do is see RTP, we have already done in this course. So you will find a mock test paper which is there hosted on the Board of Studies website. So what you do is, don't look at the answers. Once you go back, do your revision and then answer it for yourself. Write down the answer on your answer sheet. If you have a group of friends, sincere, dedicated friends, then ask them to check it for you. Or if rather the best help is self-help, check yourself and then you will find out that where are you losing out your marks. देखिए, the difficulty is, first of all, studying such a vast course is difficulty. Second is retaining such a vast course is a difficulty. Third is the presentation. अब suppose I know about GST, but if I am unable to communicate to you, will you say that I am a good teacher? Of course, you will say that I don't think he is a good teacher. It is my communication or making you understand which makes you say that, okay, I understood, I gained something, right? So I know GST is not sufficient. But what is sufficient is I should be able to make you understand. Similarly, when you're writing your answers in examination, you know the answer is one thing, but are you able to effectively present it? Are you drafting right way? Keep your sentences short. People will write long sentences. पता ही नहीं चलता लिख क्या रहे हैं. उनके दिमाग में उनको होता है मैंने तो बिल्कुल सही लिखा है, नंबर कट कैसे गए. Write short sentences. Short sentences, when you write short sentences, the meaning remains intact. Okay? Thank you everyone for all your lovely comments. What is this sweet box? So when a sweet box is supplied with a juice bottle as a gift, will the ITC on juice box? So see, when juice box is being supplied as a gift, nobody gives a gift, let me tell you. Nobody does that. It's just a fooling mechanism, okay? So, like I am a chartered accountant, I say, normally I provide advisory services for 90,000 and I file a return for 10,000. But a gentleman comes to me and says, sir, I want advisory services from you, but you have to file my return free of cost. I say, okay, I'll do that, but my advisory charges will be 1 lakh rupees. So have I actually given anything free to him? Rather, I have charged a consolidated for advisory as well as return filing within the advisory. So, nothing is free, okay? Yes, Yashasvi, you can definitely refer the RTP for past year, but one thing remember, the amendments which are there for your present attempt, the past year RTP answers may be different due to those amendments, okay? So that you need to factor. Pushpanjali, tea and tea bags are two different things. Tea means the way it is plucked from the plant, okay? And tea bags is where the tea has been filtered, cleared, packed in a tea bag, okay? So apply the basics, okay? So Babita is asking, is it important to attend question and sequence exam? So see, what I cannot say officially, but what I can tell you, what I did for my exams, I followed a simple approach from smallest question to the biggest question, and it was generally not in the sequence. That is not 1, 2, 3, 5. I may be doing fifth question first, third question, then second question, then sixth question. But to maintain clarity, what I did is, on the top border, on the top of the page, I clearly mentioned that I am answering question number this. So that the examiner clearly gets to know that this is the answer to that question. And I always began a fresh answer, a fresh question from a fresh page. Okay? Never from the bottom of the page or the middle of the page. So that is what I did. Okay? Okay, Raghavendra is saying, can we follow sequence like 5A, 2B, 3A? Please don't do that. Please don't do that. No. Once you have started fifth question, do 5A, 5B, 5C. But don't do 5A here, 5B there. No. What you can do is, you know 5A, attempt 5A, but leave the space for 5B, 5C. Go on to the next question and answer that. Okay? You can always come back and attempt it later. But ऐसा मत कर देना कि सब questions भी कहीं कहीं कर रहे हो. वो तो that is not suggestible. Okay, so lot of other queries. Drupal is asking if we don't remember section numbers. Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay, a lot of questions don't. I did not used to remember section numbers, and I did fine. Okay, scored wonderfully well in taxation. So, no problem with that. But your concepts matter the most. Okay, if you can remember, nothing like it. But if you cannot, then I believe there is not much of a big issue. So, friends, let us now please conclude the session. And before I conclude the session, I just want to wish all of you from the bottom of my heart all the very, very best for your examination. Aim high, study hard, work hard. There is no alternative to working hard. Just don't look for shortcuts, okay? Simply keep yourself focused, stay safe, and it's a tough time, of course, because of the lockdown and everything, but still, keep your mindset positive. Do something which engages you otherwise also other than studies. Stay active, keep talking to your friends, okay? And I sincerely wish that all of you do very, very well for your examinations. Please go back and study, revise the entire course once again. To the best of my capability, I've tried to cover up as much as I could in these limited time hours. I sincerely hope that it adds some value to you. Okay? So if you want to make the most of it, don't postpone it. Go back and revise your course right from tomorrow. Take rest in the night. But tomorrow itself, revise the entire GST course, because if you do that, I believe a large amount of concepts will be set in your mind. Still, someone is writing, okay, notification number, it's not important. If you can remember and you are sure about it, then mention. Otherwise, don't mention. And with this, friends, I would now like to take your leave. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to help you perform better. And once again, all the very, very best to you. Wish you all the best. God bless you. Thank you. Good day and good evening.